Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and I'm back here today with some more stories I found on Reddit. Today we're going to be answering the age-old question of who is wrong in a given situation. Reddit Am I the Asshole is, according to their description, a catharsis for the frustrated moral philosopher in all of us, and a place to finally find out if you were wrong in an argument that's been bothering you. Tell us about any non-violent conflict you have experienced. Give us both sides of the story and find out if you're right or you're the asshole. Well, let's get into it with stories from Reddit Am I the Asshole? We're going to be using recent and current ones again. Am I the asshole for refusing to take my girlfriend to nice places because she eats like a kid? My girlfriend is an incredibly picky eater. Like I said in my title, she eats like she is 10 years old. In fact, I'll give a short list of things she refuses to eat. Unflavored water, fish, excluding fried shrimp, anything with bones, cheese other than sharp cheddar, spinach, onions, garlic, pasta without red sauce, eggs, spicy food, aioli, ketchup, potatoes other than French fries, pastries with fruit, citrus, sausage, or any non-American food. This compares to me, someone who grew up in multiple different regions of the US and lived abroad for a few years, so I'm a bit more adventurous when it comes to food. I'd like to say that I already don't think I could date someone that was this picky about food. Without even getting to the conflict here, I like to cook for people. Whenever me and my girlfriend go out somewhere nice, she ends up getting the same meals, usually either a burger or chicken tenders and fries. We could be going to an authentic Nepalese restaurant and she will get the French fries and white rice. To me, it's kind of embarrassing to go to a restaurant where there's a dress code and for her to order chicken tenders and fries. It especially bothers me that since I typically pay, I end up paying $15 for chicken tenders that I could get from the freezer section at Walmart for $5. Recently in our area, a very nice dinner place opened up and my girlfriend has been dying to go. I took a look at the place and the menu and saw that it looked nice, but the food was kind of spicy. She said she was probably going to get chicken tenders, as per usual. I asked her what's the point in going then if I could toss some tenders in the air fryer for her and not spend a ridiculous amount of money on it. She asked why I had an attitude about this and I told her that I thought it was a waste of time and money to go to a nice place to get little kid food. She interpreted this as me calling her a little kid. I clarified that I wasn't calling her a child, however it is kind of childish for her to eat the way she does. I also said that if she's going to order food we can make at home, there's not any point in us going anywhere. This led to an argument about me thinking I'm better than her. Am I the asshole? Personally, I'm going to say he's not the asshole. My real question here is why she wants to go out to these fancy restaurants in the first place. I assume most people go out to eat for the food. So she goes to ethnic restaurants and orders off the American part of the menu? I was always wondering who does that. But I am aware that really picky eaters can't just easily get over it, so let's read someone with a different opinion. Everyone sucks here. Look, I'm mostly on your side until the last two paragraphs. The point of going out isn't always to eat the food or try new food, but to spend time together. Throwing around it's not even worth going out if you only eat chicken tenders is really callous. She also sounds picky but flexible, in that she'll find something at any restaurant to eat, even if it's fries and rice. So I think it's a bit crappy you're knocking her for that when she isn't necessarily inconveniencing you. I get you're embarrassed, but this is who you're dating. Either decide it's a deal breaker for you or learn to live with it. However, I do think she should be paying for meals if she's going to pick a super expensive place. Yeah, this would be a deal breaker for me like I said, but it looks like this guy doesn't consider it one. The other thing is, people with this problem can get really defensive over it, so be careful I guess. There's a lot of arguing about medical conditions here of course, but that's boring, let's move on. Am I the asshole for ordering the pizza my husband said he wanted? I have a few cousins and friends visiting from out of state. We all grew up together, and this is the first time I've seen them since before COVID, so they also met my husband for the first time. We had a courthouse ceremony. We were talking about ordering pizza and having a few drinks together, and we're getting our orders together. I love pesto, ricotta, mushrooms, spinach, olives, and artichoke on a flat bread crust. My husband, Rick, is a deep dish meat lover's guy to the core. So I asked Rick if he wants the usual. He made a face and said, no, meat lovers disgust him, and I know that and how much he loves the pizza I like. I was confused and reminded Rick that he said countless times he hates my favorite pizza, and that's why we always order two. Rick continued to insist I'm wrong. He looked at my cousins and friends and asked, has she always been this much of a scatterbrain? I swear if her head wasn't attached to her neck, she'd be walking around without it. I'm definitely known as the forgetful/clumsy one in the group. This is also when it dawned on me Rick is trying to be funny by making me look ditzy and forgetful. I didn't feel like dealing with it, so I played along like, oh my god, baby, you are so right. I forgot, you know how I can be. Of course I remember now. I'm sorry, sweetie, let me get that for you. Rick laughed and was like, yep, that's my wife. Gotta love her, but it's a miracle she remembers her own name. Not that it would be okay in front of his own friends that she doesn't know, but it blows my mind that he's acting like this in front of people she grew up with that he's never even met before. He's like, look at me, I'm being an asshole to her. It's pretty annoying. I put in the orders, and when they get here, Rick is looking for his. I hand him a small box that has the pizza identical to mine in it. He pulls me aside to ask what the hell that is. I told him it's his pizza he just told everyone he loves. Rick looked at it with an expression of sheer disgust and asked where is his meat lover's pizza. I told him he said he didn't want that and how he wanted this, so I made sure to order it. Rick got huffy and complained he can't eat that pizza, it's gross, and thought I'd order him a meat lover's either way because I know it's his favorite and he was just playing around earlier. I told him I am absolutely not ordering anything else since the pizza place was closing soon, and if he wants a different meal, to figure it out himself. But he got what he asked for, so he can explain why he's refusing to eat. Rick said I'm unfair to put him in that position, made an excuse to my cousins and friends about having a stomach ache and needing to get up early, and went to bed. We all wound down about an hour or so later, and I got ready for bed. Rick was still awake and asked if there was anything for him to eat, and I reminded him that he has a pizza in the fridge. He rolled over and went to sleep, but he's upset with me today, saying I forced him to go hungry last night. Well, I guess we have another picky eater. This guy doesn't really behave like an adult, does he? Why not just make food for himself, or God forbid eat the pizza they already paid for? It's unusual, sure, but how gross can it be? Not the asshole. He played around and now he has to deal with the consequences. A stupid joke for him to initiate in front of everyone at your expense. I'm still confused at how he thought that was funny. Not the asshole. He sounds like an asshole, and his little baby self chose to go to sleep hungry. I cannot believe a grown-ass man is acting like this. Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I think this marriage might have problems. The OP tells us that he's 38, by the way. Now that we have food stories covered, how about a wedding story? Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my brother's second wedding? I, 26 female, have an older brother, P, 34 male, who got married to B, 28 female, after they graduated college. Together they had 2 daughters. My brother wanted B to become a stay-at-home mom to their 2 kids. B worked part-time for a while, which my brother claimed caused him a lot of mental stress because he would have to care for the kids occasionally. I have always been close to B. She even introduced me to my future husband, her little brother. She has always been a super kind and genuine person. B and I have been best friends since we met in middle school. Eventually, B quit her job and became a stay-at-home mom. After B began staying home full-time, P began going on business trips for weeks at a time, including making B go to her dad's funeral alone with the kids because he had an important business trip that weekend. B later discovered that my brother was sleeping with another woman, Z, 23 female. After she found this out, my brother drained their shared bank account and moved in with Z. After the divorce, B was left with 2 young kids and no money. Throughout all of this, my brother has been completely useless and downright horrible to B, because he wanted a fast divorce since Z was pregnant and they wanted to get married. 2 weeks ago, P invited me to his and Z's backyard wedding. The date it was set for was April 2nd, and he constantly called me, begging me to come as he wanted me to be a part of his wedding. I told P I have no intentions of going after I firsthand witnessed how poorly he treated B. P said that I don't understand what it's like to be married so young and not to get to experience the fun years, and that I'm being unfair in choosing B over my own blood. He emphasized over and over again that at the end of the day, he is all I have and spouses come and go. Yeah, apparently spouses come and go when you're this dickhead and cheat on them and take off with all the money. It's fucking amazing that he said that in all seriousness. Well, I ended up skipping the wedding. My husband said he didn't care if I went, but he wasn't going to go no matter what. B also said she didn't care if I went because P is still my brother. But my parents have been calling me selfish and saying that I have backstabbed the family by not supporting my brother. They also said I needed to suck it up and just be supportive of P. P refuses to talk to me, but his new wife Z has been messaging me on social media, saying I'm a huge asshole and should feel sorry for myself for picking his ex over P. I feel like an asshole now. I know what he did was horrible, but I can't look P in the eyes knowing what he did to B. I really don't know if I'm being unreasonable in this situation. Am I the asshole? Man, you're not obligated to go to anyone's wedding if you don't want to. Siding with her husband's sister seems reasonable, especially considering she seems to like her a lot better than her brother in the first place. It's gotta count for more than blood, right? Z, the marriage breaker, is calling you an asshole? She trapped a married man with her pregnancy and she's calling you an asshole? I suppose she can't stand the sight of people with real values such as yourself, as she looks so trashy next to them. And your brother, cheating on his wife, the mother of his kids, forcing her to stop working and then leaving her penniless with the kids. They actually deserve each other, not the asshole. Wouldn't have wanted to witness that disaster either. Okay, one more story. This is from 8 months ago, but it's interesting. Am I the asshole for keeping my former mother-in-law in my and my son's life? My 37 female husband, Oliver, died in a car crash 8 years ago at age 31. The only reason I could keep on my feet back then was because of my parents and Oliver's mother's support. Just to say a few things she's done for us. She helped us financially while I looked for a better paying job after Oliver died. She takes care of my son, 10 male, whenever he's sick, and I have to go to work. She cooks extra portions of food for us when she prepares meals she knows I or my son like. She never asks for or expects anything in return. She is a genuinely good person, and I'm happy she is in our lives. She's a widow too, and Oliver was an only child, so we are her only family, and we see her on a regular basis, and we really enjoy each other's company. The thing is, I met this guy, 40 male, Pete, at work 4 years ago. We started dating about a year after we met each other, and we got engaged 2 months ago. After our engagement, Pete suggested that my son and his mother, 66 female, Carla, should meet. I thought it was a good idea since they would spend time together after we got married. Carla and my son have met 3 times this past 2 months, all of them at Pete's house for dinner. Pete and I were there too. Last time was last night and it all went down. Since the moment they first met, Carla has been really pushy, trying to force a bond between them, giving him presents, asking him to kiss her hello and goodbye even if my son looked uncomfortable. So yesterday I politely asked her to stop doing that. She told me that I was being very rude to her and that maybe I should help her by teaching my son to treat her as a grandmother. I told her that I don't have to teach my son to do anything and that he would come to see her as a grandma when and if he wanted. She scoffed and said that would never happen if we kept seeing my dead husband's mother and suggested that we should stop seeing her since having 3 grandmas would only confuse my kid. I was shocked and I said I would never kick Oliver's mom out of our lives. First of all, because she's my son's real grandma and he adores her and that should be reason enough. And second of all, because she's a good person and I want her in our lives. I took my child and left Pete's house. Pete called me later that night and told me I had been really rude to Carla and I should apologize, that she only wants to have a grandma-like relationship with my son. I told him I would like that too, but I'm not shutting Oliver's mom out. Then he says that I'm being very unreasonable and that my relationship with my former mother-in-law is unhealthy and that I'm blinded by my emotions. I'm actually rethinking our whole relationship and engagement. Am I the asshole? She's the one being unreasonable? Says this mama's boy? These people need to shut the fuck up and keep her late husband's name out of their mouths. This is literally the child's grandma, so I fail to see how it's unhealthy. There's a lot more here, so let's skip the comments this time. Here's the update. I'll update what happened in the comments because there's a character limit and I'm not sure whether my post will be deleted if I make it 3,000 plus characters long. First of all, a few things I wanted to clarify since I got asked some questions via DM and in some comments. 1. I second-guessed myself because Pete has always been a very understanding person. Any conflict or disagreement we'd had, we could solve it by talking, and he was good in getting my point of view. That's why I thought maybe I was actually overreacting here, because it's so unlike him to make me feel like I've done something inexcusably wrong. That and the fact that Carla was actually crying when I left Pete's house last night. 2. The kisses thing. I agree forcing kids to display affection on people they don't actually like is wrong. However, Carla asking him to kiss her is not as creepy as some people think of it. Let me explain. I'm actually from a country in southern Europe. Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy, you guess, haha. And greeting people with 2 kisses, 1 on each cheek, is the norm here, even people you've just met. I hated having to kiss grown-ups I barely knew when I was a kid. I don't like it even now. Thought we had gotten rid of kisses with the pandemic. So I never forced my son to do so, but it can be viewed as extremely rude if you say to an adult that you won't tell your kid to kiss them if the kid doesn't want to. So the first time I didn't stop Carla from greeting my son with 2 kisses because I didn't want to make a bad impression. I know, my bad. But I thought she'd stop asking my son to greet her that way when she saw he didn't like it. I was wrong, and that's why I told her so last night. Also because she insisted that my son said thank you to her with a kiss for a gift that she had given him, a Yoshi plushie because she knows it's his favorite Mario character. She was extra offended because of that. Edited to add, all the English names here are fake obviously. I'm clarifying since I came out as Southern European. 3. Pete has a sister who doesn't want to have kids. That's her choice and that should be respected. Carla has always dreamt of being a grandma, so she was ultra desperate to be liked by my son. I didn't write this in the original post because of the character limit. When Pete called me last night, I told him that I'm sorry for his mom, but being a grandma is not a right, and it's not his sister's responsibility, nor Pete's, and definitely not mine or my son's. He said he couldn't believe I could have this little empathy. 4. I'm off to Pete's house in 15 minutes. I'll write the last update tomorrow. But I'm determined to end the relationship if he hasn't changed his mind. Let's hope he has. This guy talking about lack of empathy is rich. I'm sure he'd spend the entire marriage trying to get her not to talk about her first husband, the father of her child. Anyway, I think we all see where this is going. Update. I broke up with Pete last night. I'm still a bit shocked about everything that's happened in the past 48 hours, and I don't exactly remember how the conversation went, but he said some really hurtful things to me that I would have never expected him to say. It's like the man I've known for years and the man I've had to deal with for the past 2 days are completely different people. I'm heartbroken and I feel a bit stupid right now. I'm not sure if all the signs were already there and I couldn't see them, or if he just didn't care about our past issues as much as he did for this one, or if his expectations about me changed the moment we got engaged, like someone suggested as a reply to this comment. I think it's definitely that one. He's like, okay, got the engagement, now I can have my way all the time. We started talking and I can already see he hasn't changed his mind at all. One of the first things he does is insisting on me apologizing to his mom. It only got worse after that. I say I'm not either apologizing for what I said, and absolutely I wasn't cutting ties with my mother-in-law. Some of you had an issue about me calling her my former mother-in-law. I just meant that after Oliver died, there's just no any law that keeps us together. But of course she is a fundamental person in my life, and she will always be my family, and most importantly, my kid's grandma. He then again said I have such an unhealthy relationship with that woman, because it is based on mourning. I defend myself, saying that we were already close before Oliver died, and that of course we found support and comfort in each other after he died. How dare he say that's unhealthy? I insist that kicking her out is out of the question, and that she's staying in my and my son's life. He can either accept it or get out of my life. We start arguing a bit more. Like I said, I don't remember half the things we said because I was so mad, sad, and disappointed. And at some point in the middle of the conversation, he tells me something along the lines of, "Please, this may be my mother's last chance to be a grandmother," like he already told me the previous night when he called me. I said again that I am really sorry for her, but this is not our responsibility. I also said that I would have loved it if she had become a grandma to my son in a healthy way, but that she had pretty much blown her chances with her attitude the previous night. He got furious about this. The last thing we talked about, and I still can't believe these words came out of his mouth at all, before I stormed off his house, was how Pete didn't think I would be with him right now if Oliver was still alive. I was speechless for a few minutes, I swear. I told him that was so unfair. I can't possibly know what my life would be like in that scenario, or how I would feel about Oliver, about Pete, or about anyone else. I also said I'm not apologizing for having loved and been happy with another man years before I even knew him, or for whatever parallel universe he's made up his mind that I'm not in control of. I also told him that I wish he was half as good a person as Oliver was. Now I see that this was very wrong and low of me, and I should have never said that. But I was just not thinking at that point. Imagine how I felt about that. I could not have seen this coming in a million years, because he never even once has had, apparently, because obviously he has, any issue with me being a widow. I guess he was just ruminating all his feelings on his own, until we came to this breaking point. Everything about me prioritizing Oliver's mom over his own mom must have triggered him so much if he was already feeling insecure about how I might still feel about Oliver. We yelled at each other for another while, then I became sick of this situation. I told him that in case it wasn't already obvious, the wedding was cancelled and that I didn't want to see him again. Though I'll have to see him tomorrow at work, LMAO. I get home, it was about midnight, get a shower, and about 1 a.m. get a phone call from Carla. She's practically begging me not to cancel the wedding and give them another chance. She was crying and I really felt bad for her. We were talking for almost 45 minutes and I was already exhausted of everything. I said that I was sorry, but I was not going back in my decision. So yeah, right now I'm heartbroken and I feel so stupid, like I said. I don't know what happened to the man I've been in love with for 3 years. I feel like everything went wrong so fast. I guess he just saved me years of progressive disappointment by blowing it all in just 2 days. Better now than when we were already married, I guess. Even if I feel like shit right now, I think I did the right thing and I'll be okay. I'm putting my son first, and of course mother-in-law stays with us for as long as she wants to have us. Thanks to everyone who showed their support. Actually having strangers with an impartial point of view helped making my decision. My mom always put the men in her life first, and I just want to say that women like you are amazing. I'm sure this is a terrible position to be, but putting your kiddo first is truly going to have a huge positive influence on his life. That was pretty heavy stuff, huh? Well, I think it's about time to call it a day. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the stories or about my content in general, please let me hear it in the comments. I'll be reading those while the video's new. If you're new here, consider subscribing so you can see everything else I have planned in the near future. And big ups also to my amazing patrons who actually give me money over on Patreon. It really helps out. Have a great day, everyone, and don't be so picky about your pizza that you have to go to bed hungry.